Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sandra's Stenography and Shorthand Dictation. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Well, you haven't joined me, but you'll watch the video, I'm sure, later. So, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching the video. It is live today on a Sunday. Yes, see, you guys, you never know when I might go live. Never know when I might go live. So today is live Sunday, and today is Jeffrey Macdonald Day. That's correct. We're working on Jeffrey Macdonald number 13. We're moving right along. So let me put that in the chat. And so anyone who wants to take a moment, go grab your machine. And if you want to sit down with your machine and join me today live, today is your chance. And if you happen to be out, oh, wait, today is Monday. It's Labor Day. Happy Labor Day, everyone. Happy Labor Day, Steno Slayers. I hope that you're enjoying your Labor Day, barbecuing, and just staying safe. That's the main thing. Today, I am doing, finishing, still working on the series with Jeffrey Macdonald. And this is going to be number 13, of course. And if you have not been following us or the rest of us with this series, this is going to be reading number 13. You can find this on my playlist, on my channel, on the Q&A playlist. And I believe I have all my ducks in a row on that playlist. So you can pretty much just go from 1 to 2 to 3, right in the order. And we still have, of course, Jeffrey Macdonald on the stand. Of course we do. And because he's still on the stand, we still have Mr. Warhide, who is asking the questions. And Mr. Warhide is spelled Woehorde. And let's see, anything else? Please subscribe to the channel. I really need subscribers. I'm still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you have not subscribed, please do so today. And let me see. If you have not visited the podcast, please go to Let's Write Steno. That's the podcast. And you can also find me on Facebook, which is Court Reporters Plus. And you can find me on Blogger at Sandra Steno Slayers blogspot.com. Or just go to Blogger and type in Steno Slayers. There you go. Please comment, leave me a comment, all that good stuff. You know the stuff, guys, that you have to do to get the algorithm to like a channel and make it present and all that good stuff. So comments, share, like, thumbs up, all that good stuff. I see I do have one viewer. This is the first time I had a viewer. I have a viewer. Hello, everyone. Hello, if you're watching. Whoever is watching out there, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate that. I think we'll go ahead and get started. I'm sure at least one person out there has their machine and they're ready to write this Labor Day. And remember, it's important to practice every day, not just when there's no holidays. Let's see. We're going to start off with Mr. Warhide asking the question here. So let me get to the question, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Feet flat on the floor. And you are focused. All right, let me get to that question. Give me 1 second here. You guys don't know it only takes me a second. I had it earlier, but then I had to read this. I wanted to make sure that I got a good read over before I started. It is very important. Let's see. And we're going to have a recess in this reading as well, so be prepared for that. And I hope you guys are really enjoying the series, because I am. It's great practice. It really is. Let's see. I think I have it. Pretty much there. Okay, here we go. Here we're going to start off with, he didn't order you not to take hair samples. So they're talking about the hair samples. And I don't think he's really that crazy about giving hair samples again, but you know how that is. We do have to. I think he will have to oblige whether he wants to or not. Let me see here. Oh, here we go. Wait a minute, 1 second. They really get heated here in a moment. If I can find my spot here. Question. All right, now that's one item. Now let me tell you the others that lead up. When I left the Army. Did you go to the... Okay, here we go. We're almost there, Mr. Malley. Here we go. Ready? And 5. That's right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Question. Well, he didn't order you not to give hair samples. Answer. That isn't the point. I just asked that he be informed of this, and if he agreed, and he ordered me to submit to the CID investigators and a laboratory technician, I would be willing to do so. And that's what happened. Question. Let's go back to this Newsday article. It said, Siegel said yesterday, Captain Macdonald and I want to express our thanks to the Representative Otis Pike, Democrat, Riverhead, and Senator Charles Goodell, Republican, New York, for their very great help in this matter. Both men worked with us and with officials in the Pentagon to see that Macdonald's rights were, close quote, and apparently the bottom of the page, the last line on the page were omitted, but I assume the word is something like safeguarded or preserved or honored or something to that effect. Now, tell us about that. What was Mr. Otis Pike's role and Senator Goodell's role? Answer. Ex-Senator Goodell, ex-Congressman Lowenstein, I don't know if Pike's still in. Question, it doesn't make any difference, any reference to Lowenstein here. Answer, I believe that most of this was in reference to two things. One was the assault on my lawyers, alleged assaults on my lawyers, which in fact occurred, but obviously now can't be proven because the FBI said it didn't occur. That was one reason that was argued very vehemently by many members of Congress. They had seen it on television. It was very hard to argue. That was one reason they were interested in the case. They were also interested in they speeded up my process of getting out of the Army in November, really. So I got out before December. I don't even know if they made inquiries during the Article 32 to the Department of the Army reference the hearing. I think there was a lot of communication going on at this time, like Senator Javits, Senator Sam Ervin. A lot of them were aware of the case and had gotten letters. Question, I take it nothing was submitted to them at that time that might be helpful to the grand jury at this time. Answer, documents? Not that I'm aware of. Question, the next article that I have is dated October 29th, 1970. It's from Raleigh, North Carolina, newspaper. Just two items. You said that you were over $30,000 in the hole. This quotes you as saying, quote, I'm also $20,000 in debt to my lawyers without being guilty, close quote. How do you go from $20,000 to $30,000? Answer, the figures don't mean much, Mr. Warhide. We're just talking about question $10,000 means something to me. It does. Answer, first of all, the statement really doesn't mean much. It's a matter of paying expenses all along. You know, that's not legitimate. I can't say to you, here's a check for $15,000. That was half my bill. That wasn't how it was done. There were expenses paid. My lawyers were on post for almost 4 months, and everything, all expenses were paid. There were motels, there were phone bills. It just went on and on and on. Essentially, most of this was absorbed by my mother. Question, the article further states, quote, he talked about revenge against the killers he said murdered his wife, Colette, and children, Christine and Kimberly. I'd like to get these people. I can't understand why the army didn't try harder, close quote. Now, what did you mean at that time by the term, quote, revenge, close quote? Answer, is pretty self evident. You could probably come to the point more directly, Mr. Warhide, what you're leading up to, what we'll get into shortly. But at this point, it would be nice if the perpetrators were caught. Question, were you personally seeking out the perpetrators? Answer, only in a very ineffectual manner. Question, that's not being very definite. Now be explicit. Answer, it was the same type of thing as, when we went into some bars, we talked to some people. I tried to track down Helena Stokey. It just isn't like Kojak. It doesn't work that way. Question, but you were making an effort. Answer, yes. Question, on your own. Answer, yes. But I'm talking about it was very difficult at that time for me to walk into a bar in Fayetteville and play undercover agent. This thing had been on the front pages for 6 months. Question, well, you had friends. Were they helping you? Answer, not specifically, no. Question, were they helping you in a non-specific way? Answer, yes. My lawyers still got leads. We still got phone calls. We still had things like that. Nothing great, no. Question, well, when you went into these bars around Fayetteville, and I've been to Fayetteville, and I've seen from the outside a street with a few bars on it. I believe the type of locale that you are talking about. Were you alone or did you have someone with you? Answer, I believe usually I was alone. I probably had some friends with me occasionally. Question, you were looking for people who might be the perpetrators you described? Answer, right. Question, let me quote from this article a little bit further. Quote, if the killers were caught, tried, and found guilty, and sentenced to death, how would he feel? He was asked. Quote, I think it would be fine. The death sentence, they made their own decision when they killed my family. They should pay for it. The captain said he had some leads, but he didn't want to elaborate on them. Now, this is a reference to the investigation you were making at the time? Answer, yes. Question, what leads did you have? Answer, look, Mr. Warhide, I can't come in here 4 years later and make it sound like I was some sort of avenging hero through Fayetteville. That isn't what happened. I went to bars. I questioned people. I asked things. There were, probably occasional little pushing matches. This isn't a big deal, this thing. Question, what do you mean by, quote, pushing matches, close quote? Answer, well, I would get upset, with some doper. Question, and then what would happen? Answer, usually nothing. Question, when something did happen, what would happen? Answer, you mean you want me to recount every little fist fight? Is that what you want? Question, if you can recall, yes. When you say, quote, every little fist fight, close quote, how many were there? Answer, couple. I mean, I I was a very visible person in the community at that time. I could walk into a bar and 50 people would stop and say, quote, "Hey, that's Captain McDonald," close quote. You don't really get much information that way unless someone wants to come up to you and give you information. Question: how does the situation develop that would result in a fist fight? Answer: I was sitting in a bar in Fayetteville and I was watching these kids buy little bags of pills right out in the open. They weren't even making any attempt to hide it. So I went over and I sat down next to them. On reflection, it's really stupid. Question: what happened then? Answer: I asked some of them about Helena Stokely, which is what I was essentially doing at that time. Question: what happened then? Answer: people would either say, at this particular time, what happened then? They said, the guy said to me, "It's none of your business." Question: what happened then? Answer: I said, "The hell it isn't my business." And I kicked his chair out. Question: and there was a little scuffle. The thing ended up. Answer: yes. You leave before the MPs get there. Question: this happened several times. Answer: yes. A recess has been taken at the grand jury. The time is now 2:07. Recess has commenced. Time is now 3:10 p.m. Mr. Warhide. Mr. Foreman, for the record, Dr. McDonald has handed the foreman a document, and I am going to ask our reporter to mark it as McDonald Exhibit 2 of this date. Question: Dr. McDonald, did you prepare this statement? Answer: it was prepared actually by my attorneys. Question: and they prepared it for you? Answer: that is correct. Question: and this is a communication by them to the grand jury? Answer: that's correct. Question: have you read the communication? Answer: yes, I have. Mr. Warhide: all right, I will read this to the grand jury. Quote: we have just been advised by Dr. McDonald concerning the most serious matter of the attempts of the government's attorneys to question and obtain information from Dr. McDonald about matters concerning the attorney-client privilege. Despite the denial by the government's attorney that he was attempting to invade the privacy of these discussions, it is perfectly clear that, relying upon the secrecy of your proceedings, he has conducted nearly 1 hour of questioning in this area. We must respectfully call to your attention that these are matters which the government cannot legitimately pry into. The government knows it and realizes that even this very memorandum to you will be embarrassing to Dr. McDonald. The government knows that some persons may view our objections to this area of questioning as keeping evidence from the grand jury. This is absolutely untrue, but it is the unfortunate effect of the procedure being followed by the government's attorneys. We therefore respectfully request that you, A, direct the government's attorneys, open bracket, and it is your absolute right to do so, close bracket, to refrain from any direct or indirect attempt to question Dr. McDonald about his discussions with his attorneys and those assisting them, or, in the alternative, B, request that Judge Dupree give you further instructions in regard to your duties on this matter. Close quote. This is signed by Bernard L. Siegel, Michael J. Malley, or it's initialed by them, and underneath it says, quote, attorneys for Dr. McDonald, close quote. I might say, Dr. McDonald, that you may inform your attorneys that as of this time, they are not witnesses before the grand jury and it is not their function or duty or responsibility to advise or give legal advice to the grand jury. That is my responsibility and my function, and that of Tom McNamara, the United States Attorney, and Mr. J. Stroud, the Assistant Attorney, United States Attorney. Now, if they have any further statements to make, they may make it to us as counsel for the grand jury. And I ask you to tell them that they should cease and desist from sending in such memoranda. And I'm going to tell you this. I will afford them an opportunity to appear before the grand jury, not as attorneys giving legal advice to the grand jury, but as witnesses who may be able to provide some useful information to the grand jury. Do you understand what I said? Answer: I couldn't miss it, sir. There seems to be some discrepancy there, sir, between what the different attorneys say between the attorney-client privilege. Question: I am not going to get into a controversy with you at this time concerning this matter. If they wish to file a motion with the court, they are privileged to do so. Dr. Macdonald, over what period of time did you engage in the investigative activity that you have referred to? Answer: I don't specifically remember. It was a period of, I guess, weeks to months. I don't specifically remember dates. Question: tell us when you finally gave up on it. Answer: when I was released from custody. Question: when was that? Answer: in October of 1970. Question: all right. And you remained in this area through December 4th, I take it. Answer: right. Question: thereafter you went to live in the area around Long Island. Is that correct? Answer: right. Question: did you continue the activity while you were there? Answer: no, I did not. Question: subsequently you moved to California. Answer: correct. Question: did you continue the activity while you lived there? Answer: no. Question: did you remain in contact and communication with Mr. Siegel, Mr. Eisman, and Mr. Malley over the Article 32 after the Article 32 was concluded? Answer: surely. Question: how long did that continue? Answer: up to the present, except for Mr. Eisman. Question: well, there has been a lapse of several years now. Last year, how many times did you see Mr. Siegel? Answer: I don't remember. Question: did you see him at all? Answer: I saw him. I don't know if it was late last year or early this year I saw him. Question: was that a social visit? Answer: no, not really. Question: have anything to do with this case? Answer: yes, it did. Question: I'm not going to ask you any confidential communication that you made to him or that he made to you seeking legal advice. Let me ask this. Did you seek legal advice? Answer: surely. Question: did you seek legal advice with respect to the CID investigation in 1970 and the court martial or the Article 32 proceeding in 1970? Answer: that would come under communication there. Question: no, I'm not asking you what you said to him, but I am trying to fix the topic. Answer: the major topic that we talked about, if you're going to press me, is Mr. McNamara's press release regarding the convening of the grand jury 6 months ago. Question: I'm not going to go into any details and ask you for what you said to him and what he said to you. I'm just trying to ascertain the subject of the conversation. Now, that was either late 1973 or early 1974. Answer: I really don't remember, Mr. Warhide. I honestly don't remember. Question: let's go back to 1972. Did you have communication with him then? Answer: it was infrequent communication. Question: well, was this just social, an exchange of a postcard or a letter or a visit, or was it attorney-client relationship? Answer: that's between he and I. Question: did you pay him any legal fees in 1972? That's not a confidential communication. Answer: yes, that's part of our work. Question: did you pay him any legal fees in 1973 and 74? Question, answer, that's still part of our work, it seems to me. Question, are you refusing to answer my questions? Answer, you really have a way of trapping people, Mr. Warhigh. I've been given instructions not to discuss the attorney-client relationship. That is obviously attorney-client relationship. Question, as counsel for the grand jury, I will tell you what is covered by the attorney-client privilege. Answer, sir, I've been lectured by my government lawyers. They're almost always wrong. Question, let me tell you what the attorney-client privilege is. If Mr. Siegel disagrees with me, he can file a motion in court. The attorney-client privilege covers a confidential communication by a client to an attorney and by an attorney to a client where the client is seeking legal advice. It does not protect disclosure of who the attorney is, for what purpose the legal advice is sought without getting the details of the communication. Answer, okay. Question, whether or not the attorney submitted a bill for the services rendered, whether or not a fee was paid. There is the payment of a fee is not covered by the attorney-client privilege. Now, you asserted that you consulted him for legal advice, as I understand it, at the end of 1973 or 1974. I have not explored that. You have said that there was some consultation with him in 1972. I did not explore that. My question is, did you pay him a fee then for legal services that he was rendering to you at that time? And that is not privileged communication. Answer, I paid him legal fees in the past several years. I don't remember the dates. There have been bills rendered and fees paid. Question, does that relate back to the service performed in 1970? Answer, you mean the actual hours in 1970 that he spent? Question, fee payment that you made to him in 1972 and 1973 and 1974. Is that for services rendered in 1972, 1973, and 1974? Answer, correct. Question, or does it relate back to 1970 when he was acting as your counsel of the Article 32 hearing? Answer, it's all the same case, 1974. We're still talking about the same case. Question, all right, that answers my question. Now, during the court martial or the Article 32 rather, did Mr. Kassab come down here and testify as a witness on your behalf? Answer, yes, he did. Question, what was your relationship with Mr. Kassab? Answer, he was my father-in-law, Colette's stepfather. Question, apart from the legal aspects of the relationship, what was your personal relationship with him? Answer, it was very good. It's not so good now. Question, did he visit you from time to time prior to the time that you were discharged from the Army? Answer, during the Article 32, but not after the Article 32 was ended. Question, would you call him up and talk to him from time to time? Answer, surely. Question, would he call you up and talk to you? Answer, sure would. Question, how frequently did you have these communications? Answer, it seemed to me fairly frequently. Question, and were you holding anything back from him? Answer, no. Unfortunately, I made some things up. Question, what did you make up? Answer, the extent of my investigation, my own investigation. Question, all right. Tell the grand jury now what it was you made up. Answer, let me say that I was trying to rebuild my life and I was trying to get out of the Army, and our communication at the time was relatively good. My attorneys, my mother, and myself had begun to feel a little uneasy about Freddie, Mr. Kassab. Mr. Kassab kind of took over the Article 32 hearing and a lot of the publicity surrounding it. He would hold news conferences up at LaGuardia Airport. He was writing letters and firing off telegrams to anyone that would listen. It was all question, was this public officials congressmen, senators, things like that. Answer anyone who would listen. New York Times, Newsweek, magazines, radios, whoever he could talk to. And it was all in regards, I was the greatest guy that had ever lived. The Army was absolutely hosing me, giving me a bad deal. Question, you didn't disagree with that, did you? Answer, no. That, in fact, is what happened. Question, all right, go ahead. Answer, he was aware of the Article 32 investigation. He heard, except for little things. He knew the substance of all the testimony. He knew all the witnesses who were there. He came and testified. But what I was leading up to was there was a sense of uneasiness. Freddie became a media freak, if you want me to be honest. Freddie became a true media freak. He would call us up and say he'd, quote, "What do you want me to do now?" close quote. And Benny would say, quote, "We'd like you to," close quote. I don't know. Just, quote, "Has the CID been up there questioning any of Jeff's friends or Colette's friends? Could you ask them?" Fine, close quote. Now, Mr. Siegel would say, quote, "Now, Freddie, that's all I want you to do right now," close quote. That night, we'd be looking at TV and he'd be holding a nationally covered news conference. And Bernie said many times, as did a lot of people, he's really kind of a fanatic. So I said, quote, "Well, look, it's his stepdaughter and grandchildren," close quote. Okay, so now we're up to I'm being sort of discharged out of the Army. I say sort of because it was sort of a battle. It was a lot of letter writing, phone calling, congressmen calling down, trying to speed up the discharge type thing. I was in a funny situation. I'm still in the Army. I had not been court-martialed. I had an Article 32, which is non-judicial, so I wasn't subject to double jeopardy. And I was being counseled just to get out of the Army. Just do your job. Show up for work if your commanding officer wants you to, and apply for your discharge. And Freddie's communications were to the effect, don't do anything dangerous. You don't know what they'll do. Your room's bugged. The whole thing. And I'll take care of all their public statements now. Fine. And he started talking to me frequently and writing me frequently. It was always in reference to when we would get our private investigation going. So then I said, I told him, I have been in some bars and, I've got some leads. Critical mistake in my life. Tell him that I got leads. And that started it. And then it was incessant. What do you have? Who have you found? And I'd lost my family and I'd been going through the hearing. I'd been wrongfully accused. Colonel Rock's statement at the end of a 5-month grand jury is, the charges are not true. He didn't say there was a lack of evidence. He said the charges are not true, right? So I'm trying to get out of the Army. I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen and what to do. Do I drift? Do I go into my residency? Do I spend the rest of my life prowling around looking for these people? And Freddie's hammering away, about this investigation that we're going to coming. John Cummings was driving me absolutely nuts. Day and night phone calls, night and day, literally, but frequent communications. Quote, when are we going to get together for the book? Close quote. The author started calling. Quote, when are we going to do a book on this? Close quote. I can hook you up with William Morrow in New York. Lawyers from Long Island say, quote, I have a good friend who is a writer, close quote. And it became this unbelievable public thing. So I sat down and I talked with my military lawyers. I talked to my civilian lawyers. I said, quote, what do I do? Close quote. And they said, quote, do formal things. Do what you can do. You're a physician. Go to Washington, close quote. So when I got out of the Army, I went to Washington. Alan Lowenstein takes me around and introduced me to Sam Irvin. Can you imagine going to a cocktail party and talking about a homicide? So I go to the Justice Department, try to do things like that. Congressmen and lawyers advise me to go on TV talk shows. So I go on the TV talk shows. I got sick to my stomach. After that, I said I wasn't going to do that anymore. They didn't have a right. Meanwhile, Freddie's driving me crazy. What have you found out? So I told him I'd found other people. So he asked, to make a long story short, I implied that I killed the person. Absolute insanity. So his wife wants to know the details. Did they scream? Were they in agony? Question, what did you say? I told him, I can't talk about it. My mother is over for dinner at the house. Just to give you an example, my mother-in-law has another son. They have 2 kids. We were eating dinner. She says, I wish Bobby's kids were killed, not yours. I said, Mildred, how can you say that? I said, that's really perverse. She says, I want revenge. I said, I want revenge too. So I left for California. What the hell was I supposed to do? So I played along with this stupid game with Freddie. Freddie was an ex-intelligence officer in the Canadian Secret Service, or so he says. And he lives this day and night. He was in bars all through World War II, listening to secret conversation. He was in D-Day. He was on the battleship on V-Day. He was everywhere at all times. So I played this game. And finally, I gave up. I wrote him a 10-page, 15-page letter. And I said, Freddie, I didn't do it. I didn't do this. Question, when did you write that final letter saying I didn't do it? Answer, I don't know. Question, Dr. Macdonald. Answer, when I got to California, it was crazy. Question, how long did you play the game? Answer, I don't know. Months, verbally with him. It was always one incident. It was always one thing. Mildred wanted to hear the details. Did they scream? Were they in agony? "30 minutes, guys. 30-minute read. I would like to thank the one person who stuck with me today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sticking with me today, listening to the dictation. I appreciate that. You rock. You're awesome. And that's it. I'm going to go ahead and post this on my channel for anyone who was not able to join the live stream this gorgeous Labor Day here in Florida. I should be outside enjoying myself, but you know, there are commitments and there are things that you have to do whether you want to or not. And I am committed here. So holidays, snow, well, there's no snow in Florida. Hurricanes, any type of anything, I'll still be doing my videos. So anyway, thank you for joining me today. And thank you so much for supporting this channel. Don't forget to check out the podcast. I've got some great dictation coming up over there as well. Have a great day, everyone. I'll end the broadcast now. Peace, love, and STENO.